Hey, Jake's back and he's got his own show. He's on the mic and he's ready to go. Noodle on his left, Jess on his right. Hey, hold up, don't start a fight. He's got you covered with all the sports. Don't fret, he's wearing shorts. It's time for Waking Jake in the morning, Waking Jake at night. Jake sucks.
Woo. Good morning, Bakers. Welcome to Wake and Jake. Myself, BBD, and Wake and Jake, guest of the year, guest of the franchise history. Bobby Skinner is joining us today to talk a big weekend of playoff football. Bobo, how are you?
What's going on? I'm the biggest head in Wake and Jake history.
Yes.
Every time. I always know it's coming, but every time it bothers me when I pop on. It's like my head is as big as Jake's body on the camera.
It's the camera doesn't help. I mean, it's also in real life. It kind of plays, but it's mostly camera magic. How are you, Bob? How's life?
I'm good. Just signed my new contract over, I won't say the numbers, but most people know it's closer to 7 than 5 figures.
Yes.
At this point, and I'm glad to be back on. And let's, we did really good with our playoff predictions last year. Like, I think we were all in on, I don't know about BBD, but I think me and you were both like, the Bucs Chiefs. And we called Bucs Chiefs like exactly how it would go. So see if we can be as smart this year.
I'm traditionally, I don't know what I said a year ago, but I am traditionally I don't need to be the guy who needs to predict Brady losing.
But even the Bucs weren't the hot pick going into the playoffs. I mean, they weren't even they were a wild card team. They didn't even win their division. They were the Saints. They lost to them twice. They were a flawed team, but they were kind of getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, it was. I remember last year because the way I posed it to you and Chris Rose, your rival at the company. I was like, are the Chiefs just going to roll? Because America had this big Mahomes boner. Like, that's the phrase I was going to do. And, like, that's obviously changed this year. But, yeah, I mean, the Bucs D-line just went nut job, and Brady's Brady, and that was all she wrote. So we'll see. We'll give out our Super Bowl predictions. We're also going to line up this weekend in football. And I listened to our preseason episode because I wanted to see how we did. Like, obviously, predictions are kind of a lame game, although the company last year was monster for predictions. Trevor Plouffe was king of the world for a little bit, your fellow pool man. And, yeah, it was a pretty good listen. We all had our misses in the NFC East. The Cowboys ended up rolling. And the Seahawks ended up burning all of us, which Russ got hurt, and that roster did have, kind of its last hurrah this year. We'll see how everything sorts out in the offseason. But, Bobby, you had a couple good one-liners. You had a line on the Vikings where you were like, this feels like they're kind of ripping apart at the seams and could be their last hurrah. That one kind of hit home. I'm drinking tears on the Raiders and the Steelers making the playoffs. That's what how can you? Big Ben stinks and the Raiders aren't good. It's football. And it came down to the last weekend of the season for both of those teams. As with the 49ers, who did make it, none of us had that, and that's another team everyone was mad about. And they were so close to not making it. So, I don't know. I mean, not a lot of tears to actually be drank. Your guys' Panthers, you convinced BBD. They went 3-0. And then,
oh, my gosh. I was taking victory laps on the Panthers.
I was so excited. Because I think on the episode, all we said was, like, there's a very easy path to 4-0, and then if they just kind of float the rest of the way, that's what a playoff team is. But then they just kind of, I don't think, won again. So.
Well, I think my logic was like the Saints aren't going to be good this year, and they're like, and the Panthers are going to start out 3-0, and I was like, they'll probably win 5 or 6 games after that, and like sneak in as the last wild card team, which it looked like that was going to happen, and then just Matt Rule just fell apart. Like some of the stuff Matt Rule says is nuts. And he like even his coaches, like someone Chase Blackburn, the former Giant, was the special teams coordinator, and someone we know talked to him. He's like, I'm worried to lose my job. The guy's comparing himself to Jay-Z. Today he said he wouldn't take Rashawn Slater, who was like a Pro Bowl left tackle, because his arms basically his arms are too short. We didn't want to take a guard that high, so he's lost his mind. So I didn't expect that to happen to him.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it all year, but the second half of the year, I picked the Raiders to make the playoffs. They do, and part of why I picked them was I think Gruden's building something, and guess what? I don't think he is anymore. Because he
might be building something at his house.
He might be building something at home.
Gruden was our guy. I texted you that night. It was like they got our guy. That was
we got
that
him.
was a sad day.
And I was proud of us. We AFC West, AFC South, NFC South, NFC North. Those were our 4 divisions where we all swept. We all had the same winners: Green Bay, Tampa, Tennessee, and the Chiefs. And those all hit. So that's kind of like expert stuff.
I also said the Titans are the biggest threat to just the Chiefs on an individual 1-versus-1 basis, and they dog walk the Chiefs. No one beat the Chiefs worse than the Titans did this year.
And Bobby, like that, re-listening to you say that preseason and looking how this season went, and depending how you view only one team getting the bye week, and the Titans are kind of getting healthy. It's I don't know. It really makes it interesting because I've been all over the Chiefs this year, kind of in a I'm not gonna fade them until they burn me. And man, they're coming close. Like my Broncos gave them a little bit of a game for no reason. They went on an 8-game winning streak, but it just never felt right.
I think they're 9-1 in the last 10 games. Yeah, 9-1 in the last 10 games. They lost to the Bengals a couple weeks ago.
Which I don't know. Do you have? So I want to do a quick statement with you, Bobby. We'll save. I always want to get your Giants thoughts. I think unfortunately we should save them to the end. I don't.
No, people want to hear it, see it.
I don't think people want it. One of my biggest things this year. I'm all over the Herbert train. I've been tweeting it, and people have been getting mad at me because they're like, dude, he is a star. And it's like, no, he's not. Not on the level he should be. I'm drinking the Justin Herbert Kool-Aid. That being said, he just misses the playoffs again. I think he's awesome. I think his talent, when we do quarterback rankings, which I think we should bring you back for and just literally do it, 1 through 40 NFL quarterbacks. Maybe we'll do it with a fun twist on it. But, Herbert has climbed a crazy ladder for me that I would, borderline top 5, I would take him over a lot of guys in the NFL. I just think he's nasty.
Herbert or Joe Burrow? I'm
a Herbert guy. That's, I think all the conversations have been out there and said about that. Burrow has whatever it is. I guess this would be my hot take. Burrow's already getting beat up, and he's good. Burrow's really good, and he does have the intangible stuff, which I very much believe in sports. I think in 5 years, Burrow versus Herbert is going to be, not a conversation anymore. I think Herbert's going to move past it. That's a little hot.
It's interesting to see what happens with Burrow. Like you said, he does get beat up. I mean, he got sacked the 3rd most time in the NFL this year. So yeah. Right now, if Burrow had a better season than Herbert, but I think most people are on the same side as you. It's Herbert long term is the better guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I would take him right now. I just obviously coaches and teammates around you. What is Jamar Chase? Is he the stuff he did this year is all time? And I know Burrow's a part of that in their relationship and everything, but. And Mike Williams was good. Oh, whatever. We can do that whole thing another time. I guess what I was trying to tee you up for is there quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive player, after this year that is kind of your whoa moment from the season. That's my guy. I had them underrated. I had them overrated.
put me on the spot. Overrated,
Yeah.
underrated. I'll stick with Burrow. Underrated. I thought he would be good. What he did this year. I mean, I got the numbers written down here. Completed over 70% of his passes, almost 9 yards per attempt, 8.9. Through what did he have? 34 touchdowns, 14, and that's with being sacked the third most in the NFL. And QBs do contribute to their sack rate and stuff. But the Bengals had a bad offensive line. Like Jonah Williams is a decent left tackle. Besides that, their offensive line isn't very good. Their run game was nothing special. They were like bottom of the league in yards per carry. And I love Jamar Chase as much as anybody. Like my number one guy like the last few years. But to come in and have that connection quickly, and then a guy like T. Higgins has over 1,000 yards, and then your slot receiver has another 900. And this is all coming off of that gruesome injury too. So I would say I did not expect. If Joe Burrow was bad this year, I wouldn't have been surprised. I thought he'd be decent, but I'm blown away at what Burrow's been able to do with this Cincinnati Bengals team.
And the thing I've said all year is look where LSU is at now. Coach O's out. LSU wasn't the power that they were. Joe Burrow was pretty
Brady
nasty.
Doesn't look as good as he once did.
When you start looking at go back to the LSU the day they won the national championship and everyone's stock Burrow and Chase, their stock's up, everyone else is down. And I think that leads us into the first playoff game, Bengals Raiders. And Bobby, you mentioned overlooking the Bengals a little bit this year. When we got to the AFC North division this year, you actually kind of teed it up, and you were like, we're all going to have different answers here. I know it. We're all going to be between the Browns, Steelers, and the Ravens. And with you didn't even say the Bengals, and at the end, I just casually was like, yeah, hope maybe Burrow clicks. We'll see. They'll have a couple good wins. It's they were kind of one of the sexiest teams in the NFL this year. There's some people that fully believe in their roster, top to bottom. So Bob, I'll kick it to you first. It's the first game of the weekend. It's the 4:30 Saturday game. Bengals host the Raiders.
I want to be on the Raiders. I do. I'm rooting for the Raiders. I want to see them do well. But like you said, I think the Bengals are real deal. And what the Raiders are best at is getting pressure without blitzing. Max Crosby led the league in pressures this year.
Oh, man.
But it's Joe Burrow's kind of ready for that. He's the third most sacked QB in the NFL. So you don't have a track record of if you can get to Burrow and hit him, you really screw him up. It's no, he's essentially used to that. And the Raiders have gotten better defending the run, but at halfway point they were the worst in the league, and had no all their defensive tackles weren't even run stoppers; they were pass rushers. So I just think that Bengals offense is going to be too much for the Raiders, and the Raiders have been winning these tight, close games at the end versus some teams that were banged up, and I just don't think the Bengals are going to let them do that. I think the Bengals, I think are a pretty damn good team. And again, the Bengals, they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna blitz Carr crazy and allow them to get those deep shots over the top. And I just think the Bengals are gonna outlast the Raiders in this game.
Yeah, it's the Raiders have sneakily won their last 4 games at Cleveland, 16-14, home versus Denver, 17-13, at the Colts, kind of that surprising game where the Colts were kind of becoming the NFL's darling, and then the wheels fell as far off as they could, and then they win the tie bowl to finish the season versus the Chargers. There's part of me that can't quit the Raiders, and I think Carr is underrated. We have Carr in this weird spot in our brains where we're you kind of know what Derek Carr is, and I think that almost hurts him. Carr, he doesn't have the upside that maybe Joe Burrow or Herbert, those young guys have. On a given day, Derek Carr can go toe-to-toe and throw. He can drop back every pass and kind of be that quarterback and give you a chance. And I think he's one of the guys I was most excited of when I started thinking of quarterback tiers, because I think Carr used to kind of, if you started naming guys like Carson Wentz, I think there was a conversation there. I think clearly this year Carr is kind of in an area with a Tannehill and some other guys in that range where you really have to respect what he's about. He if you're looking at guys that can drop back and pass down 14 points, he's obviously not the guy you want, but he can do it.
Comfortable.
Yeah, I think he's kind of rated where he should be. You know, like where he's going to have these awesome games and teams are going to blitz him and he's going to throw over the top and make a play in the pocket. But the Bengals don't do that. They don't blitz a lot. And so when you don't blitz a lot, well, you got Hunter Renfrow. And that's where, like, you guys watch Hunter Renfrow. His route running is amazing, especially in the red zone. You know, and he had 103 catches this year. So he does some awesome things. But also that can lead to mistakes if you pick up on a tendency of what Hunter Renfrow's doing, and you double team him or have an unexpected double team on him, and or like, hey, on this play they're going to read this and have the corner undercut it or something. So there's just ways where when you watch Carr, it's like he has those like 3-4 bad plays that can ruin a game. The Raiders have been able to overcome them. Like, remember that Ravens game to start the season, where it was like, they just had like all these bad plays. And I've watched the Raiders a little bit and they just had those moments, and at times they've been able to overcome them. But I just don't think versus the Bengals they will. Like that Browns game where they got, where everyone on the Browns had COVID. Like Carr almost lost that game like 2-3 times, but the Browns just kept on giving it back to him. Like, here's another chance. I don't think the Bengals are going to give the Raiders that shot.
Your Bengals?
Yeah.
What about
I want the Raiders, but I think the Bengals.
Are you into sports gambling at all, Bobby? Like, it's in Florida now, right?
No, they're trying to get it passed. I get addicted to things, so I don't want to get addicted to gambling, so I don't.
Yeah.
But when I was in New Jersey, I bet on the Nets to win and the Knicks to lose, just to post a tweet and mess with Knicks fans, and I lost $40 because the Nets lost and the Knicks won. So
ain't that it?
I can't believe you were setting me up and I totally screwed that up.
A little teaser there. Should we tell Bobby? He's gonna be pissed at us. We're going me, BBD, and some of the salespeople were going to the Nets game tonight. So
who are they playing tonight?
And I think they're really good
seats.
seats.
You worked the Bulls last night. Oh, the Knicks.
OKC.
Okay, Thunder. Your Thunder.
Oh.
Shea Gilgeous.
What was the number 7? I don't know. I don't care. I'm so out of the NBA right now.
Dude,
March and April is when I get back into the NBA.
Yeah.
The Nets are just too good. It's like, okay.
I haven't watched.
I've become
a
get me to the playoff type fan because the Nets are so good.
It's tough.
I haven't watched like a game that wasn't the Knicks yet.
You know what?
I watched the third and fourth quarter of Nets games. That's it.
That's kind of where the NBA is at. You know what? I'll do it. I'll go with my Raiders. I think the Bengals. I think Burrow's good. I think Mixon's good. I think this is their first taste. And, dude, Max Crosby, I think your points were fair that Joe Burrow's been used to dudes in his face. That dude's going to be in his face all day. It was nuts.
Oh, yeah.
The tie game, watching Max Crosby every play, like when you hear some of the old-timers talk about, like, Reggie White, you don't understand. Like, I feel like it was that game because Crosby was unstoppable. I felt so bad for their right tackle because Staley's an analytics nerd that doesn't bring in the tight end to block or whatever. And he was just like leaving him on the island. It was brutal.
And to counter that, though, as bad as the Bengals' offensive line is and their right tackle, the Chargers probably have like the 32nd best right tackle in the NFL right now. It's like I forget his name, like Star or something. I can't remember, but he's pretty damn bad.
It was bad. BBD, you want some Bengals? You want some Raiders?
Yeah, I mean the 2 Saturday games I think are the 2 that I have the least conviction about. It's a Bengals lean for me, so I'll roll with them. But again,
okay.
I'm not going to sit here and feel bad about that if it goes the other way.
Yeah, I say the Raiders, they've been through a ton of shit this year. We win one for Bisaccia, my guy. And, yeah, I think Carr, somehow their wide receivers, there's 1 or 2 plays a game that they just end up wide open. You're like, how is Zay Jones that open? And I think it happens, and I think they do it. And I think the Bengals are like, oh, so this is the playoffs.
Can we still do Gruden grinders?
You know, it's a tricky area. Someone asked me about that Like right when it might have been you.
Just make him really offensive. Just lean into it.
I think it was.
This is your lane to finally say some.
Now it's time to twist the knife.
Our Simple Man Radio came back, and the first episode was named "Rest in Peace, Frank Caliendo." He lost John Gruden and John Madden all within like a couple months.
Yeah,
like those are his two big go-to guys.
Yeah, I know he. I think he went on Part of My Take after Gruden. They were like, "Was that tough for you?" And he's like, "No, man. Like all you sports losers love Gruden, but when I do an actual crowd, nobody knows who John Gruden is." He's like, "So it's kind of a win for me." The second game on Saturday that BBD previewed, Patriots Bills. The third one back in Buffalo. These teams split in the regular season. The win game in Buffalo, the Patriots won. The Bills got redemption a couple weeks later. Buffalo's favored by 4. It's in Buffalo. Belichick versus So right now, and I don't know, they have the AccuWeather thing on ESPN. It says 3 degrees. I don't know if that's right now or if that's this weekend. We'll get BBD on it. Man, so I do like Josh Allen. Belichick versus McDonough. That's a tough one to get. McDermott, excuse me. That's a tough.
You got John Gruden on your brain.
Yeah, I know. McDonough.
The Apple app.
Sure.
High of 10, low of 3.
Okay.
Let's see that win.
So if there's a win, that's pretty messed up.
The Sunday, it's a much wider range. It's high of 28, low of 3.
Okay.
They know what it'll be Saturday.
Is there any wind on there?
No, but big cloud.
BBD says big cloud, so we'll assume a little
Sunday's
wind.
sunny.
Dude, if it's a win game, that is hilarious. And if you're Buffalo,
I hope it's not.
I mean, I feel like we would have heard about that right now. I love it. I mean, 3 degrees, Buffalo, New York, hell yes. What jumps out at you? Because the coaches and quarterbacks, I mean, how many games can you say that about? I feel like they are such an equal mismatch. Like the difference between what Josh Allen is and Mac Jones is the difference between Belichick and McDermott. And if you're the Bills, like if not now, when? So I don't know. What else you got, Bobo?
Well, the top 2 ranked defenses in the NFL are the Bills and the Patriots. And throw out that snow game. That snow game doesn't mean shit. It was fun to talk about. Like, ooh, they only threw the ball. That game meant nothing for the future. Like, that game had no bearing on, that has no bearing on my mind. But let's combine Mac Jones' stats, those 2 games versus the Bills. 16 to 35, that's less than 50%. Dog shit. 164 yards, 4.6 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And even in those games where, they were behind, they lost 33-21. The Patriots tried to run the ball 27 times. To me, it's Josh Allen is very clearly better than Mac Jones. And the Bills have had some ugly games, but when they're playing good competition, they always step up to it. You know, like their ugly games are versus the Jets and the Jaguars. It seems to be a team that might play down for their competition. Teaser, I might have the Bills in the Super Bowl. I think the Bills are going to win this game, but it's going to be tight. I do think it's going to be tight because Bill Belichick is still the best to ever do it in the game. Mac Jones will learn, he's going to have some teach tape from that last game to adjust and adapt. They say it's really hard to play a team a third time because you've seen each other so much. So I think this game is going to be really tight. In fact, I think this might be the Bills' toughest game up until Super Bowl Sunday. I view the Patriots just for the Bills, not as just a team. I feel them tougher than the Titans, the Chiefs, or anyone. So I do think the Bills win this game, but I think this might be the best game of the weekend because Bill Belichick is going to have something for them. And if the Patriots pull this out, it's bow down to Bill Belichick again. He is the GOAT.
Yeah, man, that's the win game. I was so frustrated with McDermott. They ran the ball every play, and he never adjusted. And it's get beat over the top once. Fine. Stop letting them run for 5 yards every play in the win game with Mac Jones that they're horrified to pass. And I was just like, what are we doing, buddy? That being said, I do think you're right, and I like how you said it about playing the third game where they know what each team wants to do, and that's kind of when talent prevails, and you wonder if it's one Josh Allen broken play or if it's Josh Allen just being better, like pegging it, through some zone defense in 3-degree weather. Like, he has that in him. And I like your playing up thing, so I think I'll go Bills too. It just horrifies me if the game script goes and, New England's up 10-3 and there's, special team. Like, the Bills are going to be outcoached in this game, and that's that's a scary feeling. But I like you said about Mac Jones, I think, hey, nice rookie year, dude. But 3-degree game in Buffalo, give me the Bills and Allen. Beebs?
Yeah, the third time you play a team stuff, you tend to lean on the talent, or at least who has the clearly better quarterback. But at the same time, the other team has a clearly superior coach, and they got to
third time versus Belichick.
And they got to play them once without doing a real strategy. Like, they just they threw 3 times. So it's, in a way, they kind of only played them once this year, and I just kind of blind trust in Belichick. Again, this is the other game that I think I have the least conviction about, like I said.
Because the other thing, it's almost got that, when
I like the Bills.
When Saban gets to yell at Alabama, every time after they lose, they win. I mean, they win most of their games anyway, so that's not great. But
they lose a game a year.
They lost the last game to the Bills, so Belichick can really lay into them. This is scary, Bob. If the Bills are your Super Bowl team, this is the scariest game.
It's just a brutal first round matchup.
Like, going against the Chiefs, are the Chiefs a better team than the Patriots? Absolutely. But it's just, if I'm Sean McDermott and this Bills team, this is the team I am the most worried about.
Man, I got pretty jazzed up for Saturday, man. Raiders, Bengals.
This is the game. I am so excited for this game more than any other on the slate by far.
Because, like you said,
more than Cardinals, Rams, Monday Night. Like, this game is the one I am tuned in for every second. Like, not just watching the game. I want to see what these guys are doing to try and win this game.
Because if this was a Madden simulation, the top 2 defenses, Patriots, Bills, just reeks of 16-13. Raiders, Bengals reeks of 35-38. And knowing the NFL, those scores probably swap because that's just what this year has been. But man, that is an awesome Saturday. That's an awesome Saturday.
3-degree game with the 2 best defenses.
8 p.m. in Buffalo? What are we doing? Is that safe?
We should call the cops. I don't feel
Humans
safe.
are dumb.
I was looking at the weather the other day, and I still have my college town in Minnesota on there, and it's negative 13 degrees. It's why did I ever think I wouldn't? I remember going from Florida to Minnesota, I like the cold. I like the cold. It's no, you don't. You
nice
40 degrees every once in a while.
Man, I don't have a lot of deep thoughts, but I was, I guess I was probably a little high, but I was thinking about if my kids are going to college or picking college, who knows what the world even looks like. But I'm going to encourage them to go somewhere warm.
If you're gonna go far,
go to a city you feel attached to, even if it's not warm. Go to Boston or go to New York City or go to Nashville. Go somewhere, because man, I love CCSU, and hard hitting New Britain, Connecticut in 20 years will probably be pretty lit. But I don't know. It's just cold.
Go to a place you might want to visit again sometime.
It's cold. It's cold.
I'm going to tell my kids to learn a skill.
Yeah. Podcasting.
They're going to start podcasting when they're young.
John baby. This leads us to the Sunday slate. We have 3 games. The game on Monday too. NFL. I did this last time, but there's a reason they print money. They're pretty smart. Sunday kicks off Eagles Bucks. I think this is the biggest spread of the week. No, Chiefs Steelers. My God. Bucks Eagles. It's -8.5 Tampa in Tampa. The 13-4 Bucks against the 9-8 Eagles. One of the bigger surprise playoffs teams this year. Kudos to Sirianni. Kudos to Hurts. Again, listening to our preseason predictions, the Eagles. Obviously, I think there's a little bit of Giants pollution, but Sirianni did a great job, and Hurts, I feel in the second half of games, they kind of were there a lot more than they weren't. So they kind of did the best with the pieces they had. That being said, but is there anything to even? How could someone pick the Eagles? I guess.
Well, that way is not against it was if they got a matchup with anyone but the Bucks, because the Bucks are going to stop you from running the ball, and that's what the Eagles have done. Credit to the Eagles, they haven't beat anyone really good this year, but credit to them for they weren't supposed to be good at all. They're going into this draft for 3 first-round picks. They're set up, and so they when they stick to the run and can get those numbers and play, and use Jalen Hurts as that second running back to Miles Sanders, it's awesome. But the Bucks are not going to let you do that. You're going to have to, it's not just going to be you're using mismatches. No, we're going to load that box. We're going to blitz the shit out of you, and we're going to stop the run. And their secondary guys have gotten healthy. We're at one point in the year, the Bucks secondary the worst in the league. And then on the flip side, the Eagles defensive line is really good, but the Bucks offensive line is probably a little better when you throw in the fact that they have Tom Brady as the quarterback. They have the lowest sack rate in the NFL. So this is the worst matchup the Eagles could have got. I don't think I would pick the Eagles versus probably many teams in the NFC, but this was the worst matchup they could have gotten for to start off their playoffs.
Yeah, I hate to be kind of soft on the analysis, but I don't know how you could even spin it for the Eagles. Obviously they run the ball, they're going to keep it on the ground. You could say something about game script and getting up and controlling the ball, but it's Tom. It's the Bucks. It's in Tampa. If BBD, if you've got something, if you Bob, I got nothing else.
And I hate to be dismissive, but because that can come back to bite you in
Right.
a lot of cases, but Tom Brady next.
Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm sorry, Eagles fans. BBD's Philly.
I also just emotionally don't like the Eagles. So
even if
I know that's
let's say Sirianni's on his way to climbing the coaching chart. He did a really good job this year. And let's say Hurts, who was kind of underrated all year, he's is who he is or a little better. If this team has the perfect game plan and they're still, up a score at the half, you'd still be hammering the Bucks to win this game. So I don't know. Maybe there's some NFL nerd out there that's gonna tell me something differently, but I don't know. Tampa. That's a tough matchup for the Eagles. Are the Eagles the worst playoff team?
Steelers probably.
Yeah. Well, Steelers, Eagles.
And I want to. Well,
by record, it's.
I think that if you were to do a matchup, you could say the Steelers might beat the Eagles, but the Steelers just aren't going to be able to compete with the best teams. I could see the Eagles beating the Chiefs or somebody. The Bucks are just horrible. I don't think they'd beat the Chiefs, by the way, but getting that one time out of 6 times, whereas just the Bucks are just the worst matchup for them.
Yeah. I guess the only thing I think I differ with the Steelers is that I think their defense is full on legit, and if Watt goes nut job for a day, and they
it'd have to be a Peyton farewell type run.
Yeah, preview for the.
I guess the Eagles aren't capable of doing that with their squad.
Preview for the Super Bowl. This, some LOLs Pennsylvania football in the chat. Sorry, PA. You're in the playoffs.
Better than New York football, literally the worst team in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Enjoy that.
We have half of the top 10 picks between the Giants and Jets.
After the Eagles Bucks the 1 p.m. game on Sunday. I would probably circle this as what I think will be the best game of the weekend. 49ers Cowboys, the 10-7 Niners. Everyone loves Shanahan. The Niners, a lot of talent up and down the roster. Meet up with the 12-5 Cowboys in Dallas. Speaking of talent on the roster, my goodness. Dallas is only favored by 3, and I think that should show how much respect this Niners team has in Vegas and by the football community. Bobby, tell me something, because I don't know. Like, there's obviously these are the two like teams from kind of our youth. Like, if like Cowboys and Niners, like, you know, people were just fans of those teams because they were good. So this is like the millennial nostalgia bowl.
When is the last big Cowboys win this year?
Woo! Here we go.
Patriots week 6, that overtime game. Look at their schedule. What's the big win on there? Beating the Vikings in week 8. They've lost 4 games, you know, since they had like a 7-1 start or whatever it was. They've lost to the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. Congrats, you beat up on teams like the Giants and the Eagles benching their starters and Washington fighting on the sideline. Like, this is, to me, and I was in on Dallas halfway through this year. I was like, this team has the most dangerous offense in the NFL. Like, I remember going into that Giants-Cowboys matchup, and we played the Rams this year. We played the Chiefs. And I was like, this is the most dangerous offense that we will face this year. And it was at the time. Like, they were balling. Their run game was unstoppable. Dak was playing at one point was probably the MVP favorite, and they've just kind of fallen back to the same old Cowboys, where it's like they struggle versus good teams, you know, and they beat up on bad teams, and Dak just isn't like making those. Like, Dak is just playing as like a good QB and not a great QB, and their defense has definitely improved, but it's still not a very good defense. And you're going up against a 49ers offensive line. I don't think Micah Parsons is going to be able to wreck the game, and the 49ers, I think, are just going to run the ball against this Cowboys defense. And be like, all right, Micah, like, take guys like Micah Parsons out of this game. Like, let's look at what the 49ers defense does. And doesn't this sound like a great matchup for the Cowboys? Because, you know, Dak's not going to make a ton of like huge interception mistakes. He's not like a gunslinger. They're 10th in total defense. They're 7th in stopping the run. The Cowboys want to run the ball. They're 10th, but they're not only 7th in running the ball. They're 10th in allowing yards per attempt in the pass game, which is like, the Cowboys live off those big plays over the middle. The 49ers aren't going to let you do that. All with that being, they're 5th worst in interceptions. They only have 9 interceptions this year. So it's not like they're not living on turnovers. But they have the 4th low, and I'm getting all analytical on you. Yes. They have the 4th lowest blitz rate, the 5th most sacks. So they're getting the 5th most sacks in the NFL in the league while rushing 4. So I just think I'm really in on the 49ers. Like, I think this team is really good. They have a Jimmy Garoppolo problem. That's the issue with the 49ers right now. But I'm in on this 49ers team. I think they're going to beat the Cowboys.
I love it, Bobby. Something I probably should have tied in, and again, these people all know, but when I told you Justin Herbert, I'm fully on the train, like that would be my takeaway from this season. The other guy with that is Deebo Samuel. I think if him and Herbert, if either of them played in the Meadowlands on either of those teams, like, I think they'd be superstar, like Subway commercials, like all of it. Debo's.
We might be getting 49ers guy for the Giants and turn Kadarius Toney into that.
Let's get him. Man, it's really interesting when you start bringing up divisions because, another thing we had right in the preseason episode, the NFC West was an incredible division. I mean, the Seahawks were the worst team. Russ got hurt, and they fell apart at the seams. Every other team in that division, the Niners, the Cardinals, the Rams, I mean, those teams, at different points this season, the Cardinals and Rams were, you know, one of the hottest things going, and then they had their down points. The Niners roster, like, I guess that's the mental exercise I'm doing right here. 12-5 for the Cowboys really stands out. And you see the 10-7 Niners, and you're like, I don't know. If these teams switched divisions, I think the records would switch too, right? Like the Niners would probably go 12-5, and the Cowboys would be a 10-7, maybe 11-6 team. I don't know. Yeah, so it starts getting into iron sharpens iron, and you're getting into some Cowboy. I don't want to say stereotypes, but like you're saying, they haven't won a big game in a while. Their offense, I think their offense. We know all the names on the offense, and they just rolled the Eagles and they rolled the football team. Outside of that, their offense hasn't clicked like all year.
And yeah, it's they were good. They were
early in the season.
Yeah, just a second. And let's not forget Kyle Shanahan in the playoffs. I think his last 2 times being in the playoffs, they went to the Super Bowl. He should have won both those games. Now Kyle Shanahan made some questionable calls to make them lose. Remember how they went through the playoffs to the Super Bowl a couple years? Just run. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball 12 total times in the last in the NFC division and championship rounds. So I'm a big fan of what the 49ers do, and I think they're going to win this game. I want to pick the 49ers for the Super Bowl. I can't because they have Jimmy Garoppolo, but I want to.
This is tough.
That's a good match. That's a horrible matchup for the Pack. Think about all the times the 49ers have played the Packers over the years. The 49ers, they would dog walk the Packers every single year. In the playoff, that NFC Championship game a couple of years ago. Now the Packers have gotten better coaching, and Aaron Rodgers has went back up to that from great to number 1 type level. So Packers are real deal, but anyways.
So this is tricky because I'm trying to mentally balance. You two are Giants fans, and when I did listen to our preseason episode,
I did give the Cowboys the most credit though, outside of me being a Giants fan.
They do get. I mean, talent-wise, and I guess that's the other thing that needs to be driven home more. Besides you saying Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons, Diggs. I mean, everyone knows Zeke.
They're going to abuse
Dak.
Diggs, though. He gives up so many yards.
It's true. I mean, that's the other side of it. McCarthy versus Shanahan. I mean, McCarthy, who has a pretty good history, a lot of it's tied to Aaron Rodgers, but he's not viewed as an X's and O's guy at all, where Shanahan kind of has a boy genius tie to him still. Dak and Jimmy G. I guess that's where I also have to go back where I do believe in Dak. Dak's good. I doubted him.
He is good, but he's not great.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a lot better than Jimmy G, I'll say that.
You know what? No. Cowboys. I'm going Cowboys. You're not tricking me, Bobby Skinner.
All right, we'll see.
Bobby, I love everything you're saying, and you've made my brain want to agree with my heart.
All those analytics.
Yeah, and but I kind of have to hedge my own happiness a little bit, and there's Cowboys were good, so I'm gonna pick them, hedge my happiness. That's really what it's about.
Next game, Chiefs beat the Steelers. All right, let's talk about Rams Cardinals.
I want the Steelers just to make it a game. I don't know.
I would love if the Steelers won. That'd be the funniest thing ever. It'd be chaos. But it's just not gonna happen.
TJ Watt would have to have 3.5 sacks
and a couple interceptions.
Couple touchdowns. Yeah, it's the Sunday night game. I don't know. Uncle Raj puts in the word to not make it a blowout. Is that a thing?
Feels like they could have switched these two.
God. Yeah. I don't know. Give us a game, Steelers. Chiefs are 12.5 points favorites. If they
just beat the Steelers 36-10 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I've loved what the Steelers have done. They went 3-1 their last 4 games, but in those 4 games they're averaging 17.7 points per game. That'd be ranked 30th in the NFL. So
yeah,
I love it. The Big Ben moment on Monday night was awesome, but it's over. And remember what the Steelers did in the playoffs last year versus the Browns?
You're right. What game was that?
Remember the Browns were up 35-0 in the second quarter, and then they started coming back, and it was a 56 to 30 42 game or something like that.
Do vaguely remember that. Yeah, again, if you're a football couch football expert, tweet out to us and tell us why the Steelers are going to win this one. But I don't have much for you. Which does lead us to the Monday night game, January 17th, my sister's birthday.
Happy birthday to your sister.
Have to get her a gift. Rams Cardinals, NFC West, the only game on this night. The Cardinals 11-6 and are limping into the postseason.
4 in their last 5.
A lot of that is linked to when DeAndre Hopkins left this team. I don't know how much of it is linked to that in general. The Rams, who, my God, the McVay, Shanahan stuff is unreal. They still finished 12-5. They have a Madden roster. I mean, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. It's Leonard Floyd, and they sneakily have won 5 of their last 6. With the loss before that was at Green Bay. They lost by a score. And then it's sandwiched by Niners losses, which, again, he has his number. Man, they don't have a bad loss. The Rams' losses this year are versus the Cardinals, week 4, when the Cardinals were rolling. The 2 Niners games, because McVay gets tortured by Shanahan. And then at the Packers. So, kind of kudos to the Rams in a year of NFL action where, Bills lost to the Jaguars, and every team has their one big blemish. The Rams don't have that, so I guess kind of credit
that first
to them.
Niners game they got rolled up on.
Yeah, they got beat bad, but
the result isn't as bad as how it got there.
Cooper Kupp, 145 catches this year for 1947. Bob, I'll go to you first. I'll be honest. I've been in a bad place mentally with the Cardinals for the past few weeks. It ties a little bit to fantasy football, which is sad, but Kyler stunk. Where are you at? Stafford, Rams, Kyler, and their hot boy coach.
I'm not all in on the Rams, but the Cardinals are 1-4 in their last 5 games. Like you said, they're just limping into this. And the Rams are a really good team. If you're picking them to win the Super Bowl, no one's blinking an eye. Ton of talent. Cooper Kupp, arguably could have win the MVP this year. He won't because it's a QB award. But if there's anyone who's not a QB, it'd be Cooper Kupp. And then, I make fun of him a lot, but Odell Beckham is still a really good player too. And they got dogs on that defense as well. Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, they're able to play that too high stuff. And I'm rooting for the Cardinals because I have an anti-Odell agenda, but the Rams are just the better team right now. And I got Simple Man Radio at 11, so I'm trying to go quick.
Yeah. Beeps?
Yeah, Rams, I think, are just a more talented team, and they've been playing better with that. Looks like Hopkins isn't coming back this week also, which hurts the Cardinals. And if
he's not playing, then yeah, there's no way.
Give him a quick Google, and it looks like he's out.
Yeah, I'll go Rams. I believe in their star power. A couple of those games they won late in the season, you can literally point to Von Miller sack at the end or Jalen Ramsey making the play.
They have a bunch of dudes who can put the exclamation point on it.
As these stats pop up, I know Stafford, people were critical this year, but at the end of the day, where he was 3rd in yards and 2nd in touchdown passes, also 30th in interception. So you got to be a little careful of that. But where he landed statistically feels a little different than how his year felt later on. People were talking about Stafford as kind of the weak link a little bit.
Do you think that Stafford bad game is coming in the playoffs?
Probably one of these games. I don't think the Rams
had the combo before the season where it's Stafford's good, but people, because he's in Detroit, people have seen that, they remember the highlights and don't forget all the what the hell type of shit was that type plays from Matthew Stafford.
I believe in continuity and and I think that gets overlooked in the NFL. I think I'm going to be fully drinking the Rams Kool-Aid next year. But, yeah, and, dude, the NFC is just so good. The NFC is just so good. So I think that kind of brings us to
Bucks, Rams.
Playoff time.
I think there's 4 teams you could pick to win the Super Bowl, and you got the Bucks, the Packers, the Rams. I think maybe I'm crazy, but I think the 49ers, and that would what's the other? You got Cowboys, Eagles. What's the other team
in the NFC?
Oh, the Cardinals. I don't think anyone's picking the Cardinals.
I think they played themselves out of it. Like Kyler would have to. He kind of wasn't healthy. He's looked healthier, but they've still been losing. Like the Cardinals would have to find some serious juice as of now. Like they don't have it. So, yeah. So
DeAndre Hopkins is so important to what they do too.
If they found a way to do something this week, you can start to talk yourself into it. If the rest of the team clicks and they get him next week, but
it's the NFL. If they looked lights out this week and they rolled on the Rams, yeah, you start drinking Cardinals Kool-Aid, but it's just hard to right now. Bobby, you've alluded to it a little bit. Are you a Bills Niners?
I want the 49ers have a Jimmy Garoppolo problem.
Yeah.
I really want to pick them, though, because if I get that right, I'm going to look like a fucking genius. You know what? Hold on one second. I'm going to look up one. Let me look up the last time the 49ers and Packers played.
I mean, we can give you partial credit on the Niners. Like, you're that far in on them.
In on them.
You want the full credit, though.
They played this year. The Packers beat the 49ers by 2 points.
Hard to beat the same team twice.
You know what? Who's going to give a shit if I get Bills Packers right? I'm going Bills over the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Kyle Shanahan. I'm a Kyle Shanahan guy. They're starting to click. They're going to run the damn ball.
Just worried. Worried both those teams could be out this weekend.
That would maybe look dumb, and I just won't come on the show anymore.
If you couldn't pick the Niners, if I said, Bobby, you couldn't pick the Niners,
easy.
You'd pick the Packers easy? Okay.
Bucks are flawed. Packers are real deal, man.
Okay. BBD?
Well, I'm generally a pretty boring prediction guy. I look at the Chiefs and I see they've won 10 of their last 11, and the Giants are the only pushover team in that bunch. Broncos are the next one, but they were a sneaky fringes of the playoffs team.
Broncos.
I know it's a lot of playoff teams in the mix. Their one loss was a 3-point loss to the Bengals. They have Mahomes and the coaches and everybody else, so I don't feel bad picking them out of the AFC. And then I kind of just have a don't pick against Tom Brady thing. So I'd love to be able to say Packers, but I'm kind of mad at Rodgers this year for other stuff. And then so I don't know. I'm watching a lot of Man in the Arena. Brady.
Jeopardy. BBD's a big Jeopardy guy.
Yeah.
So you're going Bucks
Chiefs.
Bucks Chiefs run it back.
Yeah.
Bucks.
When's the last time that we had a run it back Super Bowl?
I don't know.
Cowboys 49ers? Or not Cowboys 49ers. What am I thinking? Cowboys Bills?
Who do you have winning, BBD?
I don't pick against Tom Brady.
Okay.
Bucks again.
Bucks back to back. Man in the mirror. Tom Brady. I love it. Cop-out's not the right word. I mean, you guys will see when I land there. I'm going Packers. I think this is the year, how dominant they were. Rodgers seems dialed in. Devontae's unreal. They can pound the ball. Their defense is gross. If this isn't the year for Rodgers and Green Bay, I think it's over either way after this, but give me them. And so this is my spin zone cop-out. Bobby, re-listening to you here before the season, I'm going Titans.
Wow.
I think
so banged up, though.
But they've got the bye week. I think that's what we're going to be talking about Super Bowl week, is that how important was the bye week to both these teams, and is one team getting the bye week? Is that fair? I could see that being a Super Bowl conversation. Rabel is criminally underrated as a head coach. Maybe that's dramatic because people know Rabel's good, but year after year, they lost Henry for half the season. They lost A.J. Brown for a chunk of the season. Julio was out. He's kind of back and, like, scored his first touchdown, right, that last week. Man, I know 1 seed seems so soft, but the Titans aren't viewed as a 1 seed. I'm doing it. I think Rabel puts himself in that, like, next pantheon of respected coaches for what they're doing. And from what I've seen, I think it's Rodgers and the Packers year, so I'm going Packers over the Titans, which, is that a replay? Was that one of those Titans Super Bowl games? Oh, I wanted to do Rams Titans to do rematch of the Music City Super Bowl, but Music City Miracle, excuse me, because I love storylines. But Packers Titans done.
Yeah, I like it. And you had some nice picks, and Baby D picked a repeat of last year.
Wow.
Do you think Antoine Winfield's going to do the peace sign too?
Same Super Bowl. They just air a replay, and we all watch.
And because of COVID, they're going to move from California to Tampa, and they'll play it in Tampa again.
Wow. Predictions. Bobby, I know you have to run and go do Simple Man. You're doing stuff on Talking Football throughout the playoffs. Should probably talk about that a little bit. And I said I want to save Giants stuff for the end, so I don't know how hard you're sprinting out, but I'd love to get a little Giants out of you.
Okay, Talking Football. The main stuff is the draft. That's the stuff you're going to come there for, but we're going to do game recaps of the playoffs, some stuff during the playoffs. Maybe even some, like, breakdowns of, like, best O-line of the week and stuff. But the draft stuff is what you're going to want to be there for, so you can check out some of the stuff on there. Talking Giants, we are starting a GM head coach search. No one's going to do it better than us, and I feel confident. Like, Talking Football, we're going to do a really good job. I don't know if we're going to cover the NFL better than anyone else, but we will cover the Giants better than everyone else. So new GM, new head coach. We're doing a good job with that. And Joe Judge got a raw deal, but it was the right move by John Mara. And then everyone was on his side, and then they decided they weren't going to live stream their broadcast last second because the Giants are – everyone that's been working there has been working there for 50 years and hates everyone.
Next football Giants head coach is?
I'm going to say Brian Dable from Buffalo because I think Joe Shane will be the GM out of Buffalo. So that's what I will say. That's what I think it'll be. I don't know if he's necessarily the best man for the job, but I think that's what it will be. I just want Vic Fangio as my defensive coordinator. That's the only thing I know for sure is I want Vic Fangio as my defensive coordinator. Like head coach, I can go between 5 guys. Offensive coordinator, it's just no. Please somehow get me Vic Fangio as my next New York Giants defensive coordinator, or just keep Pat Graham if he would be willing. But they just fired his best friend, so I don't think that's going to happen.
Broncos legend, Vic Fangio. Bobby, thank you. Everyone follow Bobby Skinner on the Interstate. And go check out some of the Talking Football stuff. He just told you the draft stuff will be good, but you guys are doing some playoff stuff too. So appreciate you. Robert, how about Saturday, man? Bengals, Raiders, Bills, Pats.
Good on the NFL for adding Monday Night Football instead of having us do 3 games in 3 games.
Dude, how much of a win is that?
Unbelievable. Monday Night Football in the playoffs. NFL keeps getting it right. Good luck with K-Rod.
Watch everything on the JOMBOY Media Network. Talking Giants, JJR yesterday. Compound, talking baseball, talking Yanks. People like those breakdowns, it seems. Not sure what that's about, but enjoy your football weekend. Tweet at Bobby, thank you. Leave a 10-star review. Love.